If you are able, please rise as we share together in the words of greeting. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all.
And also with you.
This is the second Sunday of Advent. Our journey towards Christmas continues. Our Advent journey began last week by lighting the candle of hope. The candle of hope reminds us of the dreams and wishes that we hold for this season of wonder. Today we light the next candle of Advent, the candle of peace, and it reminds us of God's vision of shalom. We light this second candle of Advent, candle of peace, as an invitation for each of us to seek justice and truth, to become bearers of God's peace in the world. Let each person proclaim this peace. God of darkness and of light, come to us this day in the midst of our growing darkness, bring the light of hope into our lives. Keep our hearts and minds alert to your presence, and give peace to our stressed spirits. In this strange COVID season of Advent, prepare us to bring the one who will lift our burdens and change our lives forever. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Please listen as we hear the words of the prayer Jesus taught us.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done
Good morning and welcome to all of you, those of you who are gathered here physically today, and also those of you who are joining electronically by device on Facebook or through the church website. We are grateful to have a fellowship with people, and one of the sounds I miss the most is when we would greet each other. I'm looking forward to the day when that will return and we can have a sense of normalcy about those things. Today, as we gather, we are limited in numbers physically here in this place, 25 people, but through technology, we have the opportunity to touch the lives of other people beyond this place. We're grateful for that technology, and we're grateful for people like Debbie who hosted for us, and I thank her and others who have helped in so many different ways during this time. There were a series of announcements, and it'll take a while to go through some of them, but I'll try to touch most things, and you might be thinking in the meantime, if there's anything I've missed, perhaps then you can jump to your feet and shout heroically for all of us, and remind us of the things that I couldn't come up with on my own. We continue to collect non-perishable goods, food items from the local food bank, so bring them with you to church. You can also arrange a drop-off time during the week. Simply phone my cellular number. It's on the church answer machine. I'd be glad to meet you on a particular day and make sure those things get where you need to go. Today we thank Ken Dewar, who is acting as cantor for us, singing hymns on our behalf. And also we thank Judy, who is very ably guiding us through music during this time. And we thank Judy and Ken for music during the service. There has been a financial update at the back of the church for you. You can glance at it, or you can look online and find materials that you need there about that. The church Christmas Bazaar, I think, is almost finished, but if there are things that are left over, you can speak to one of the ladies in charge, and maybe they can tell you if anything's left and whether you can order it still. Those items have been available online for some time now. If you happen to have specific prayer requests, please, you can email them to me. Send first names only, not full names. And God knows our needs and our full names, but we will pray with you during the service when we have our prayers together. If you send it to me during the week, it's better if it arrives before Wednesday, just so things can be organized and set up. Zoom coffee hours will resume if by chance we find ourselves truly locked down again, as we were in the springtime. We have to think about those things just in case, and so you can watch your email for those kind of notifications. Other things during this season, Advent. There is a remembering tree, and there are forms on the back table where you came in and signed in for the service. Remember, the blue lights represent a person who was passed away in the last year, or last couple of years, or whenever it happened. Please signify it's the blue light that you want in their name, and we will make sure that they're included as well. And also, a white light is for someone that you wish you could see this Christmas but aren't going to. And I think a lot of us are going to be in that scenario. I know in our family, I was speaking earlier, saying to someone that this is the first year that my family won't gather. So we're going to be thinking about lots of people beyond this place and beyond this time that are very important to us. One of the ways you can honor that is by putting a light on the tree. It's something that's available, it costs nothing, and just simply fill out a form that's at the back of the sanctuary. Other things, lesson and carols will happen next Sunday, and then the Sunday following, the Sunday school children have prepared a video or have had one prepared using the materials, and we thank Catherine and Lynn for that work, and we're going to be looking forward to seeing their faces among us electronically. Christmas Eve services. You have to sign up if you want to come. There are only 25 spaces at the two services we have advertised. There's one at 6:30 and one at 8 that allows for some cleaning in between the two services. The two services will be the same. So if you go to one, you've been to both of them. You don't need to come to each of the services, just choose one. And you can sign up. The sheets are at the back of the sanctuary also. If you're joining us electronically, you can, of course, phone the church answering machine and let people know that you want a space. The first week from today onwards is for church people to have first opportunity for those spaces. And then following that, they'll be made available to the community. So please remember that if you want to come on Christmas Eve, you must sign up. You can't just come and hope you will get in. You will not be able to do that. You need to sign up in advance, and then you'll know what service to come to, and we'll be expecting you, and we will have a Christmas Eve service that we can all share in. Service will be about 40 minutes long. Some of the things we've done in the past we'll be able to continue, and looking at ways of enjoying that service together. So remember, that's on Christmas Eve. One is at 6:30 and one is at 8. The service on the 27th of December will be an electronic one. So if you are not skilled with electronics, maybe someone in your house, or maybe you have a child or a grandchild who knows how to do those things, go to the church website, and that's one way that you can share in that. It's for the 27th, it's electronic service only. Christmas white gifts. This is the last Sunday to bring in your white gifts. We have in that white gifts that are non-perishable food items and so on, but also white gifts for Christmas baskets. No toys this year, simply things that are edible or monies, because those are the easiest things to deal with rather than with toys. If you look at your envelopes, you will see in them that there is an opportunity to give to white gift that is an M&S program, and you can bring that in on the final service of Advent on the 20th of December. Remembering tree form, we continue to keep the families of Ed Harvey and Elaine Hiscock in our prayers with each of their passings in this last while. We are grateful for their lives, lovely people, each of them, and we continue to honor them as we pray for their families and as we are attentive to the needs that they have. Those are the things that I have in front of me. Are there any other announcements that need to be made? Yes, please.
There will be frozen baking available for sale to the congregation next Sunday.
Frozen baking available to the congregation next Sunday. After the offertory music, we will rise, share in the doxology, and bring our offerings and gifts to be blessed and to be given to God. in our offerings. Continue to bless us with peace as we give ourselves to you. We offer these gifts in Christ's name for his work in the world. Amen. Now, last week, some people were alarmed that the lights stopped functioning, but they're on a timer, so don't be alarmed. Each week, we'll light our lights. This week, there's another one, and it is the season of light, and we remember that even as we light our candles each week. This one's going to be harder. I think it's easy if I just come down and do it. We've already illumined our candles earlier in the service, our candle of hope and our candle of peace. We're mindful of the season of light. For the children, a story. Jasmine. She looked in the Publisac flyer with eyes wide open. The glitter, the toys, the decorations, they lit up her face. Wow, she exclaimed. Christmas will soon be here. Jasmine, she prepared her list. She wrote, she rewrote, she erased, and filled in some little spots here and there with things that she wanted. At the same time, she waited to hear from others what it was that they wanted. So she saved up all of her money in anticipation of the shopping day that she would have with her family. Sometimes the season before Christmas was the worst time and the best time of the whole year. Lights on the house, trees decorated with ornaments and tinsel, smiles on everybody's face seemed to make the holiday season seem, well, like a holiday. But the stress of buying, wrapping, the hassle of waiting and hoping, sometimes it seemed like too much. And Jasmine, and her whole family, by the way, always felt worn out by Christmas night. This year, Jasmine's mom wanted to do something different. I'm tired of this holiday season runaround stuff, her mom said. And this year, with COVID-19 and masks and everything, well, we'll have to go and stand in lines in the shopping mall and wait just to buy gifts. It's so scary. It's so exhausting. And we have to be careful with our money this year, especially this year. We may have to cut back. I know we're going to have to go shopping, though, she said. I know the television will continue to constantly remind us to hurry up and buy things. But this year, I would like us all to take the time to remember who we're celebrating at Christmas. This year, Jasmine's mom wanted to have prayers around an Advent wreath. At first, Jasmine and her brother groaned. Mom, they complained, we don't have time for that. You know how busy we are, especially at this time of the year. But their mom insisted. And so the table was decorated with a round wreath and 4 candles, 3 purple ones and 1 pink one. And Jasmine's mom used a match to light the first candle, and they all said a prayer. pretty short, Jasmine thought to herself when the prayer was finished. And after a couple of weeks, everyone in Jasmine's family started to get into a routine. They sat down at dinner. They would light the Advent candle, and they would pray together. And you know that short little prayer began to mean an awful lot to Jasmine. It was just a few moments away from all of the stress of things. A few moments to be a family. A few moments to be at peace with God. And the holiday season somehow seemed different to Jasmine because of that little tiny prayer. And Jasmine thought a little more about the celebration of the baby Jesus and a little less about Santa and things. Well, you know, Advent is a time to wait. A time to wait for the Christ child to come and to be with us. And how we prepare and how we pray will become a difference in our lives. That simple way in which we celebrate Christmas this year. Things may well be a little different at your home. It may be a little less about things and stuff, a little more about people and caring, and the quality of our days, whether they are hopeful or peaceful days that we share together. So a few questions, young folk, for you to think about. How is your family preparing for the birth of the Christ child? Do you have family moments of some kind? Maybe it's with an Advent wreath, I don't know. Or are you saying special prayers with them? What special time are you spending together as a family? You can think about that as we hear the music, the words of good Christian friends rejoice. The Old Testament lesson comes from the book of Isaiah, Isaiah chapter 40, verses 1 to 11. Comfort my people, says your God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem, and cry to her that she has served her term, and her penalty is paid, that she has received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. A voice cries out, in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be lifted up, and every mountain and hill be made low. The uneven ground shall become level, and the rough places a plain. Then the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all people shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. A voice says, cry out. And I said, what shall I cry? All people are grass, their constancy is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades. When the breath of the Lord blows upon it, surely the people are grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever. Get you up to a high mountain, O Zion, herald of good tidings. Lift up your voice with strength, O Jerusalem, herald of good tidings. Lift it up, do not fear, say to the cities of Judah, here is your God. See, the Lord God comes with might, and his arm rules for him, his reward is with him, and his recompense before him. He will feed his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lambs in his arms and carry them in his bosom, and gently lead the mother sheep. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. The gospel passage today comes from the Gospel of Mark, Mark chapter 1, verses 1 to 8. The beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. As it is written in the prophet Isaiah, see, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way, the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make his paths straight. John, the baptizer, appeared in the wilderness proclaiming a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sins. And the people from the whole Judean countryside and all the people of Jerusalem were going out to him and were baptized by him in the river Jordan, confessing their sins. Now John was clothed with camel's hair, with a leather belt around his waist. He ate locusts and wild honey. He proclaimed, the one who is more powerful than I is coming after me. I am not worthy to stoop down and untie the thong of his sandals. I have baptized you with water, but he will baptize you with the Holy Spirit. This is the gospel of Christ. Thanks be to God. I don't know about you, but I find myself during these weeks leading up to Christmas simultaneously filled by the joy and anticipation of the season, and running also from one challenging, moment to another, wondering just what's coming next. I mean, this is a pretty strange year. I mean, I had to send out Christmas gifts to family I usually see but won't be able to see this Christmas time. And it pushed me into overdrive just to get the seasonal chores finished and the parcels in the mail so that they would arrive for those people I love on time. That is the kind of year that it's going to be. And it's easy to forget amid all of our various responsibilities and modified chores that we may have this year, that this joyful combination of celebration and slightly anxious preparation colors the lives of all the people that are around us as well. I'm not sharing this because I want to complain. This is a very special time of the year. But I simply want to acknowledge the beauty and also the complexity of the season, especially this year. One of the things that has helped me to navigate both the richness and the complexity of these days before Christmas this year is that I found myself repeating as of late these words to myself. You don't have to do everything today. And of course, that's true. We are just at the beginning. And while there's a lot that we have to learn about and do and accomplish during this season, it doesn't and it can't happen all at once. And so there is time. There is time to swing with the changes that are no doubt going to present themselves this year. Even all the adaptations, the services, and things going in the lives of people around us in this COVID Christmas. And it occurred to me while I was reading this week's passage that this is true of Christmases in general anyway. We don't have to prepare for all of it in Advent. We don't have to celebrate everything about the incarnation of December the 25th, or even 12 days of Christmas that come after, because there's just too much joy and too much courage and too much tenderness and too much hope and too much promise to squash into a single day or 12 days or even the 4 weeks of Advent plus the 12 days of Christmas. Indeed, we would be wise to defer some of our celebrations to the new year, when the tree has come down and the decorations have been put away, we go back to work or to school, and when the credit card bill has arrived for the Christmas festivities and demands to be paid. Perhaps the promise of Christmas is most necessary after Christmas, which might mean that this is the perfect time to be reminded that the meaning and significance of Christmas doesn't end on December the 25th, but really just begins on those days. Absent, yes, the songs and the lights, and slightly worn out from all the celebrating, and when it seems a little bit harder to imagine that God would ever dare to take on our form, joining God's own self to our lot and our lives. And the reading from Mark's Gospel today supports this important, even crucial deferral, or extension maybe, of the meaning and significance of Christmas. Or maybe more accurately, as Mark tells no Christmas story, Mark invites us to extend the significance of the entire Gospel beyond the confines of Christmas, for that matter, the story that he tells. Did you notice that Mark begins his account not simply by saying that his work is the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, but rather the beginning of the good news? It's so easy to be taken off guard by the brevity and terseness of Mark's opening line, because in his story there aren't any angels or shepherds, there aren't any genealogies or hymns to God's eternal word, so we might overlook that little bit of the story altogether. But Mark is trying to tell us something, both by the simplicity and also the open-ended quality of his opening. Mark is suggesting, keep in mind, Mark usually suggests and provokes instead of flat out declaring things, that his whole story about Jesus, beginning with John the Baptist, running through the calling of his disciples, exorcising demons, healing the sick, and feeding the hungry, and culminating in his death and the declaration of his resurrection, is all just the beginning. The story of the good news of Jesus Christ, that is, continues to this day and among us all. And given the headlines about COVID-19 and the scandals of the political world and vaccinations and upheaval and unrest and general anxiety of these days, that comes to me as a timely and important word for us all. Which leads me to wonder if we might be asked to pause and to admit that the frantic, anxious, joyful preparations of the season, and be reminded that God is still with us, working through us, continuing the story of the good news among and in and with us. And we'll keep at it well after the season concludes. We might be reminded that this story is bigger than the news stories we hear on television, or the worries that we harbor in our hearts and minds, or even the hopes that we share. God isn't done. God isn't done with us yet either. I shared with a friend of mine in Ottawa who had entitled his sermon for this week something like "Road Work Ahead" because of all that "prepare you the way of the Lord" stuff that's in the gospel passage today. And I recalled with my friend John trips that Elizabeth and I had had taken through the United States in past years, and the road work that we often encountered as we approached places like Charlotte, North Carolina. And once, because there was so much road work, we stopped there. And the next day, we looked around for things to do, and we decided we'd go to the Billy Graham Library. And Ruth Graham, Billy Graham's wife, is buried there. Underneath the Chinese character, she was born in China, by the way. She was a child of medical missionary parents. They worked in a hospital about 500 kilometers from Shanghai. This former Presbyterian has under her name, on her tombstone, the inscription, exactly like what we saw on all the roadwork signs throughout that state, these words: "End of construction. Thank you for your patience." And I like that. We are not there yet. We are not quite what we have been called to be yet. We're in beginning stages. And as long as we are here, we're in a kind of construction zone all our days, and God isn't done with us yet. The promise of Christmas is bigger than we ever would have imagined. God's mercy and courage and blessing extends further and deeper than you or I could ever imagine. And for this, my friends, this is all just the beginning. Thanks be to God. Amen. Let us pray. Dear God, here we are at the beginning. You have offered us a way through the darkness to your light. And be with us this day as we rush around into this holiday season and the strangenesses of it this year. Remind us again of the wonders that you have in store for us. Yes, we are getting wrapped up in ribbon and tape and paper, using these tools to somehow deal with our anxiety about this odd year. But even the ribbon, the paper, and the tape bring us to the point where we can no longer move. You know that sometimes we are prisoners of our own best intentions, reflected in the gifts we purchase. Break through the clutter and into the dark corners of our souls, and shine your light on our path. Calm our spirits, lift our hearts to you. In the quiet, O God, we lift silently the names and situations that we are aware of. Things that we know need your healing and comforting love, the lives of those we care about and know. We pray for people who are quietly grieving. We also pray for people who are feeling very anxious. We also pray for people who are in need. God, we also bring our own lives, our very selves, for your care and your mercy also. Help us to remember that you always care for us. You send your very best, not a greeting card, but in the person of the Christ child, your beloved, so that we might come out of our darkness into the light of your kingdom. Heal, comfort, inspire, and protect us, gracious God. Shine your light again in our lives so that we might see and notice the true spirit of our season. In our loving, in our taking time to listen, for your hope and peace, we might care not only for ourselves, but also for others who are around us. All of these things we ask in the name of Christ. Amen. Allow the music and words, a very familiar Christmas carol, Silent Night, Holy Night, to speak to you. If you are able, please rise for the words of benediction. God of the watching ones, the waiting ones, the slow and suffering ones, the angels in heaven, the child in the womb, give us your benediction, your good word for our souls, that we might rest and rise in the kindness of your company. Go now with the blessing of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Long lay the world in sin and error. for you.